In this video, we visit a mining town known for its English influence, a Pueblo Mágico known for its amazing rock formations, and finally, one of the most intricate archaeological sites we've seen so far in Mexico.
We are Georgia and David. We quit our jobs to travel full-time around Mexico with our 14-year-old Sheltie-Poo Meep. Our goal is to take a picture with her in front of 100 Pueblo signs. So today we drove about 30 minutes from Pachuca to Mineral del Monte. It's also called Real del Monte. And I think it would have been a little faster, but traffic was kind of bad.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be about 15 minutes. This is a Pueblo Mágico, and just like a lot of towns in central Mexico we visited, it is known for its mining history. But what is very unique is that the miners that they brought in were actually from Cornwall in the UK. So they brought some of their architecture with them, as well as some of their food. And that is where we are now at the Pasty Museum, because they are known in this town for pasties of all flavors and varieties. Hopefully they'll let us in. We do have Meep with us, so we'll see.
Well, we struck out this time.
Yeah, I guess because it is a food-based museum, and apparently at the end you actually make your own pasty. They would not allow meat to come inside. So we're going to head into the main part of town and try some pasties at a pretty famous restaurant. All right, so we are at Pastis El Portal. They are famous for their pasties here. I think they've been open since like 1975. They do have one table that you go through the hotel to get to in the back, and they let Meep in. But now we have a giant pile of pasties in front of us. David has on his plate mole rojo, arroz con leche, and the traditional beef and potato. I have the mole verde and the zarzamora, which is blackberry.
Those pasties were delicious, and the mole verde was the best.
Yeah, it was absolutely packed with chicken. There was a really nice filling to pastry ratio, and it was very flaky, almost like a croissant dough. I was very, very impressed. I don't know, normally we don't like super carby or bready things, but they were fantastic. But now that we are fueled up, we're gonna go head over to the main town square to get our family photo, and I hear a band, so I think something's going on. This dog desperately wants to be friends with Meep, and Meep does not want a new friend.
After checking out a couple of the churches and Meep reluctantly making a new friend, we continued on to explore more of this colorful town. Right outside the main mercado is a statue that pays homage to all the men who worked in the mines.
On YouTube that there is a liqueur that this town is known for, and it is tachuela. It is a herbal liqueur. It's supposedly sweet. It comes with a little cookie on top of it, and it's supposed to be an aphrodisiac. So let's see how this tastes. It has like a sweet, raisiny, cherry taste, and there's a little medicinal note in it. Decent with the vanilla cookie. Not my favorite, but pretty good.
So my wife is very innocent. She didn't know this flavor. The tachuela was basically Mexican Jägermeister.
So if you come to Real de Monte in the main square, you may see two statues sitting on the bench. You should absolutely take an opportunity to get a photo with them. However, they aren't quite statues. I was waiting outside the church with Meep while David was inside getting some footage, and this woman went to get her picture between them, and the female statue moved, and the scream of terror was absolutely priceless. The entire square cracked up laughing. So don't let that be you, but it was extremely entertaining. Being that this is a mining town, there are actually two mines that you can visit. They have museums, even a little tunnel part of the mine that you can enter. However, they are not dog friendly. The mines are
Mina de Acosta and Mina de Dificultad.
the Mina Dificultad is very close to town. You could probably walk it from town. Acosta is a few kilometers down some windy roads.
Today we drove about an hour to the Pueblo Mágico of Mineral del Chico.
It is right on the edge of a national forest. I think it is actually Bosque del Chico. The roads up here were very windy. And it looks kind of like a little Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge if you've ever been to that area of Tennessee in the U.S. David said on the drive here, if you dropped him in the middle of the...
Wait, no, I was in Mexico.
in the forest, you would have thought that it was somewhere in the North Carolina or Tennessee mountains because it just looks similar. But we're getting ready to check out the first attraction, as it were, which is La Casa de las Brujas.
All right, so one of the legends about this house is that there was a couple of women from England, I think they were sisters, and they drank the blood of children.
The other version we heard on YouTube was that it was French sisters who just practiced black magic. But either way, this is on a stop on every single trolley tour.
So now we've driven about another 2 minutes to the center of town.
Parking was nearly impossible here, and it's a Friday. It's not even the weekend yet. I didn't see any parking lots. Normally there are some parking lots where you can pay somewhere between $2 and $4 to park for the day. And it seems here it's all street parking. So that's just something to keep in mind if you are driving here. We decided to stop at Restaurante Magos. We both got the packet with the chilaquiles verdes, the arranchera, coffee, juice, and it came with a little plate of fruit. The best thing about this place, though, is the view of the square from their little balcony, and Meep is with us. Hey, Meep.
So we are in the Artesanía market, and looks fairly closed. There's only a couple little booths open right now.
I think this town is more of a weekend Pueblo Mágico. We found that in some places. Today's a Friday, so I'd hoped a little bit more would be open, but it's not looking like it.
We were able to confirm that most of the stores and restaurants are only open on weekends. Also, they have unfortunately removed their town letters recently, so we had to settle for a family photo in front of this sign.
So it looks like that's about all there is to do in town.
I was able to get this hand-painted hat for just 250 pesos, which I'm sure will come in handy for the archaeological ruins we plan to see over the next few days. Now we're headed to see a couple things outside of town. One is a little waterfall, and another is a rock formation.
Unfortunately, despite our best efforts, Google was no help finding the waterfall.
When I said the best thing about that restaurant was the view of the church, I lied. It was the chilaquiles.
Yeah, the totopos were crunchy, the salsa was amazing, and the arranchera was very tender and flavorful.
We have driven less than a kilometer outside of the centro to get a view of Los Rocas de los Monjas, which is the rocks that are shaped like nuns. They are some rock formations on the top of a mountain right outside of town, and they are pretty impressive. Well, we thought we had found a good view of Los Monjas, but as you can see, we found an even better one. We drove down a very curvy road for, I don't know, about 10, 12 minutes, and this is the view we've been rewarded with.
So today we drove just under an hour to the archaeological zone of Tula.
Admission was 90 pesos per person, and we did leave Meep at home. Generally speaking, dogs are not permitted at the archaeological zones, although I will say most places have not minded her being in the backpack. But she's had 2 big days in a row, so she is 15, and she is resting at home.
If you forgot your hat or in the market for a souvenir, there are plenty of options along the path to the site. All right, so we just made it to the archaeological zone. It was about half a kilometer from the entrance, and the museum seemed to be closed.
I would definitely recommend sunscreen and a hat here more than in other sites just because of that longer walk to the actual site. The other thing is this is a Toltec site, and I don't think that we have been to a Toltec site before, but this one, just like Teotihuacan, was taken over by the Aztecs later after it had been abandoned.
And also the way in, if you have any mobility issues, if you have someone, a child in a stroller or someone in a wheelchair, real easy to get down here.
Yeah, one of the very few sites that I would say is truly wheelchair accessible.
As you can see, this is one of those archaeological zones where they don't really restrict you from climbing on things, which is actually kind of cool. This archaeological zone is a little busier than we expected, but it is a Saturday.
A couple cool things. One is that we're allowed to walk through everything. You can see we're in this really cool pillar room right now. And the other thing is that you can really tell a lot of the rocks here are volcanic. They have those kind of little spots in them that show that it's porous. So pretty neat.
So in this archaeological zone, we've seen a lot more intricate carvings than we've seen in other archaeological zones.
And we have never seen columns quite like this. One interesting fact is that the people that lived in this town back then would not have seen these. They were holding up the roof of a temple, so they would have been all enclosed and only the highest ranking people would have been allowed inside.
the side of the main pyramid, there are some protected metal structures housing some of the most intricate and well-preserved carvings we have seen in any archaeological site in Mexico. This is known as the Wall of Snakes. This wall would have been the boundary of a ceremonial or ritual area. These carvings of snakes eating people are believed to be related to human sacrifices. After thoroughly exploring the ruins, we worked up quite the appetite, so we headed into town to find something to eat. After making a couple rounds in this municipal market, we decided to eat at this barbacoa stand. So if you happen to come to Tula for the archaeological zone, you also have to come to the Mercado and eat at El Cid for their barbacoa.
We have had barbacoa in many different towns, many different states, probably 15
at least.
times, 20 times, and that was the best barbacoa we have had. Sometimes they're too gamey, sometimes they're too dry, sometimes they give you a lot of weird, I say weird, as an American, weird bits, chunks of blood and tripe and kidneys and stuff like that. This was all just beautifully soft, tender meat, and it was just greasy enough, and just the flavor was fantastic. Can't recommend it high enough. Another thing is we just happened to be here during their feria. Every town has a fair for their patron saint throughout the year, and it just so happens that the one for Tula is the week of March 20th.
And we've gotten lucky a couple times, actually.
Yeah, I think San Joaquin was another one that we happened to just show up during their feria. So we were wondering why it was so hard to find parking. That's why. It's probably going to be easier if you're not here during feria.
After checking out the church, we decided to see what the vendors had for sale. This stall had amazingly detailed dog collars, and we couldn't resist picking up a little souvenir for Meep. Multiple stalls were selling pulque, a fermented beverage made from the juice of the maguey plant that is well known in the state of Hidalgo. We decided to get two versions, the natural unflavored as well as garambuya, which is a fruit from a local cactus tree that tastes a lot like blueberry. We continued strolling through the centro while enjoying our beverages. All of a sudden we saw a big commotion. Little did we know we were in for the best surprise of the day.
Thanks for watching, and as always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below. And if you haven't already, check out this video here where we visit Mexico's largest aqueduct.